You gotta catch that content, for the gram. The gram. What's up, man? I don't even do gram. I'm old, so I do Facebook, right? You guys are probably like, what's that? I want to start tonight with a question, okay? And I literally want to talk to whoever you're sitting next to at your table, all right? And here's the question. Why do I play football? All right? Take a minute, talk at your table, answer that question. Why do I play football? All right, eyes on me. Somebody at each table be the representative to speak words out loud. I know, it's a really scary thing. All right, here we go. We're going to start with front and center. Who's my talker?
We said we loved like the brotherhood that you built during it.
Mhm.
Like we've been playing with each other for years on years now, and like
Yeah.
at this point, it's just we're so close knit that it's like a family.
Yeah, love it. Family, brotherhood, love it. What'd you guys come up with?
We kind of said that football is like the only sport right now in high school that you're able like. There's pickup basketball after your high school, college career. There's baseball, pitch softball, but you're never gonna be able to play football and full pass tackle each other.
Unless you get into college, the league. Yeah, a little more exclusive. Yeah, I don't think I've heard that one. That's a good one. I like that. Well, back here.
Well, we said it's just fun to play. You know, a lot of guys for most of their lives, and it's like
Just the violence of it. Just aggressive violence. Love it. We got siblings here? That's fun. I played with my brother. Imagine this. I was the center. He was the quarterback. Imagine what happened when he took more than 3.5 seconds to throw the ball. Right? Little ole. Got a problem? That was fun. Right? So the brotherhood, basically. And literal family. What we got back here?
we got like your dad played, like my dad played, so kind of tradition, I guess.
Yeah. Tradition. All right.
We said a lot of tradition as well. Said a lot of us started playing when we were young.
Yeah. Yeah. Great answers. Great answers. I'm going to give you a little bit deeper of an answer, and then we're going to talk about it. All right? We play football to learn about something. It's to learn about something very similar to everything that you're talking about. This one thing includes everything that you guys just said, even the aggressive violence. Anybody have an idea what that one thing is? You play football to learn about one thing. Close, that's part of it. That's part of it. That's part of it. We play football to learn about life. We play football to learn about life. Right? We play football to learn how to do hard things. Right? Anybody thought maybe out there on that turf, a little bit warm, a little bit hard? Yeah? Right? Hey, look around you. You're probably missing a whole bunch of buddies, aren't you? That you know of. Maybe they're playing the old gamey thingy, right? They're hitting up a TikTok dance, right? They're not here making a commitment, not here doing hard shit, not here doing things that not many people get to do, right? They ain't got dreams of being in the top 1% of the top 1%, right? You're here to learn about life, and football is one of the best ways to do that. And I'm going to share with you the things that you're going to hear tonight are going to be very, very similar to what you've heard before. But as I talked with Coach, man, you guys' message and your mantra and your pillars are absolutely amazing. I'm going to try to give you a little different perspective on them. All right? So that's why if you remember anything tonight, it's the reason you play football, right? It's not for pride. It's not for your parents. It's not for tradition. It is to learn how to do hard shit and to learn about life. That is why you play football. My kids are 5 and 7, both daughters. So my football days are more like I'm a fan now. This is like why I'm so jacked up to be here, because I'm like, a football team. It's much different than a girl's 7-year-old softball team, right? But I tell them every single day, why do we learn about sports? To learn how to play life. All right. All right. So I want to tell you one little story here, just about something that I learned in life. So as Coach started to hint on, I went to Eastern Michigan University, full ride scholarship, Division I. You know, I got offered on a Thursday night when I went down to Eastern Michigan, and was on as a tight end and middle linebacker, which that's a whole nother story. If you ever wonder, which there'll be time at the end, ask me a question how I gained 127 pounds in 4 years. That's a good story. But anyway, I transferred to Saginaw Valley. Okay, so after 4 years at Eastern Michigan, I did the transfer to Saginaw Valley. Now, I know that sounds good, like I went to play with my brother. That wasn't all of the reasons, okay? That was an absolute added benefit, but it wasn't all of the reason, right? I had a lot of adversity at Eastern Michigan. You know, I didn't exactly agree with the leadership. When I switched over to Saginaw Valley, I had no clue what was going to happen. Right? Like, I know I was D1, so I was pretty solid starter, going to D2, feel like it's pretty good. But like, I had no clue what I was walking into. And I was going to have to prove myself all over again after already climbing one mountain to get to even remotely close to the top of even getting on the field and be a starter. Right? The adversity that came with that, and then to take that, and I was actually very blessed and put a whole lot of hard work behind it. I was offensive GLIAC first team offense after my first and only year at Saginaw Valley was with the first team. I was competing with another horrible school called Grand Valley State University, which was obviously our rival. It's kind of like South Lyon East. And there was another center there, and me and him both made All-American and All GLIAC, right? So I took something that was very, very hard to do, right, adversity-wise, and then turned it into something good, right? I mean, honestly, because of grit and hard work and the grace of God, to be honest with you. All right, so football is a test. Life is the game. I want you to turn, same people, answer this question. What's one lesson, all right? What's one thing that you've already learned about football that applies to your life? One thing. Tell them right now. What's one thing that you've learned about football that applies to life? Got something? Got something? Got something? You got something? Yeah? Got it? Got something? You got, okay, okay. You got something? All right. All right, Hooters. All right, let's hear it. Let's start back there this time. What do you got? What's one thing you guys have learned? Discipline. What's that mean? In like third grade language, so everybody understands. Uh-huh. So attention to detail, essentially. Yeah. So not just knowing it, doing it. That's good. Like it. Back here. Okay. Hard work, work ethic tends to be the harder the worker, the better the result. Okay. Yeah.
Like overcoming adversity, like there's injuries and stuff,
Mhm.
overcome it.
Love it.
Persistence.
Okay. Who am I missing right here? What do you got?
Doing the small things is like what will put you ahead of others. Like you can go through the motions and get it done, but if you don't pay attention to the details and do the small things right, then you're never gonna find success.
I love it. All right, let's go through. I want to amplify each and every one of these. What'd you guys say? Yeah. Let me tell you something right now. That concept will hold true in everything that you do in life. Like you will have an edge on almost everything you do in life because you were an athlete, right? And I can tell you, college athletes, even better of an edge, right? Because they were able to do something even more difficult, right? But just by being an athlete and sticking it out to the end, I'm telling you, put that thing on your resume, like things that other people, like just the further you go down your journey in life, you will notice people just kind of fall off, right? Jail, drugs, alcohol, whatever, right? And just because you know how to work hard and you have initiative, you'll just all of a sudden just start rising to the top of it. Just because of little tiny things that you learn out on a piece of 110-degree turf, right? It's pretty interesting, isn't it? What'd you guys say? So, do you know how many people in this world are nothing more than average? Like their goal in life is to hide and be average, right? What if we apply that to football? What would our record be? Be like, what, like 4-5 maybe? Be like, hey, we're horrible, right? Like, why would that shit ever be okay? But people do it every day, all day in life. So you are learning something. You are learning a standard of winning. And also, what it's required to win. Because that's hard. Like, they don't just give it to you. Like, you walk out of college, you're just like, thanks for the job. Said no one ever. Right? You got to prove yourself every single day. What'd you guys say? Yeah, I mean, how many times does that happen in a football game? A lot. Sometimes multiple times in one play, right? I can tell you this, and maybe some of you have already experienced this. Maybe some of you haven't, right? When I was your age, I had not experienced basically anything bad in my life, right? It's incredibly blessed to have the all-American family, the mom, the dad, the brother, the sister, football, 3 sports, straight A's, all the stuff, right? But I can tell you later on in life, right, losing my dad suddenly in the middle of the night, out of nowhere, when he was incredibly young and perfectly healthy, right? Like that was like, whoo, that's a level of adversity I'd never experienced before. That can like throw you big time, right? And that's just like one little piece. Right? When I left teaching, like it's a cool story. Right? You left teaching, you started a business. That's so cool. That was hard as hell. I had to sell my house because I didn't have money. I had to figure it out. Swinging a hammer. I had a master's. I have a master's degree and was swinging a hammer because how are we gonna figure this out? That's the one thing that got me through. Yeah, man, this can't be much harder than pulling my hamstring on the first day of the conditioning test at Eastern Michigan when I was slated to be the starter after working my ass off for 3 years. Right? Like, oh, that's got to be similar to that. I'll tell you guys an even funnier story. The dads in here will think this is funny. My wife having our first baby literally said out loud, "This can't be any harder than 6 a.m. workouts." Right? And that's where she took it when she's having a baby. Right? So it's like absolutely adversity. What do you guys say back here? Persistence. Why is persistence important in life?
Because if you get knocked down, you just stay down. You're not gonna do anything anyway. Gotta get back up. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times? Coach, give me one time persistence paid off for you. So many times, man. I can tell you this. Here's a really cool story about persistence, right? So when I went to Eastern Michigan, the new rules didn't apply back then. They switched coaches last minute, right? So like the coach that I signed on with did not actually coach me. That's when I switched from being tight end and middle linebacker to a center, right? And all of a sudden went from like 2 on the depth chart to like a 7 out of 4. That was a joke, by the way. 7 out of 4? No? Okay, never mind. Used that, took 3 years to get up to that point, and then blew my quad out on the first day and couldn't play for 6 games. Absolutely brutal. The only way I would have ever got through any of that, I could have quit 100 times. Probably wanted to, right? It was like, no, I'm just going to wake up and do the thing again, right? Persistence. What'd you guys say? Yeah, you know how I define discipline? Doing things when you don't want to. Doing things when you don't want to, essentially, which like, hey, who wants to go out and do that crap, right? Right? But knowing what will happen in the end, because of that, that's where the discipline comes in. So true. Love it. What'd you guys say? Got it. You started. All right. Did I miss anybody there? What'd you guys say?
I said doing the small things, right?
Tiny things in life, right? With football, there's like a bajillion tiny things that you have to pay attention to, right? And that same exact thing applies every single day. Like right now, currently, like I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I'm a business owner. Like I have 17 different clients right now. I'm talking to you guys while my kids are at vacation Bible school, and like I got to keep all that together. And then I got the help of my amazing wife too. But I have to keep all of those things together all the time, right? And that's just my story. There's probably other coaches here that have an even more complicated story than that. You got to just keep it all together, and you have to do your best every single time. And if you forget one thing, probably going to cost you money in the real world. That's usually what happens, right? Very good. All right, I want to lay out your 4 pillars, and I want to talk about 3 pieces with them. So pillar number 1, respect. Okay, so I want to talk about 3 things with it. 1 is how to give it, 2, how to earn it, and then 3, just the overall process, right? So let's talk about giving respect. So when we give respect, how can we give respect in football? This is where you speak. Do we respect the game? Respect the rules? Respect the whistle? Respect coaches? Probably got to respect that locker room. What happens if you don't respect something, one of those things? Huh? Yeah, you run. That's usually the go-to, right? Any of my old South Line players would definitely know that. That's the solution to everything, is running. How do you earn respect? Football, life, anywhere. How do you earn respect in the game of football? I tell you 2 things. What were you going to say? Effort, attitude, right? I learned 2 things about this in order to gain respect from your team, from your coaches, really all across the whole game of football. Other teams, 2 things. Ready for this? Consistency, right? As in you're the same every single day, and reliability. Of like, I know that every single game, I know that you're going to grade out in the high 80s. And I can just rely on that. Like, hey, don't worry about Desi. He's going to be there, and he's going to be at this level. Consistency and reliability will gain you the most amount of respect you've ever had in your life. It applies to football. It applies to life. It applies to absolutely everything. Consistency of excellence and overall reliability, right? So it's like when you say yes, like, yeah, I can take that to the bank. I won't even ever ask again because I know that you'll be there. You'll probably be early and you'll be ready to go. Or when you say no, right? When you get asked for drugs or alcohol or party or whatever the hell it is, right? And you say no, they don't need to ask again because you know that when you say that, you mean it. And there's no point to even ask again. That's respect, right? That's respect. Let's talk about respecting the process. Respecting the process of like football, of like June workouts when you're going to play a cold October game. All right. What does that mean? Here's what that means. All right. So in football, there is an actual step-by-step process, right? Like there's like, we're going to do these workouts, we're going to practice these plays, and then we'll win, right? Guess where that doesn't exist? Huh? In the real world, there is no step-by-step process, even though there's 2 billion videos giving you a step-by-step process of how to make $1 million in 10 seconds, right? Or whatever it is, right? There is no step-by-step process in the real world. Okay, so think about this. While you're playing football, you need to be thinking about that. Man, I'm given the process right now. I'm given the standard right now. Out there, guess what? Nobody gives you the standard. Like, you have to make that yourself, right? You have to develop your own process. So learn about the process. You're blessed to have the process, all right? How do you show respect when no one is watching? How do you show respect when no one is watching? Anything? Anybody? Have you ever seen like the iceberg effect? Right? Everybody heard the term like, oh, you're an overnight success after 30 years of grinding it out. Right? Because nobody sees any of this stuff. Right? You're not like, this stuff doesn't gain you the respect out on a Friday night until you prove that you should. Right? That's the standard. That's the process. That's when no one's watching but your brothers. All right? 2 is trust, right? Trust, which I would call the glue of a great team, right? Any type of team, any sport, any business, right? Why do we say brotherhood? What about it? What about it is so special?
Just because you've been like playing with these guys for so long and like you know them, like start to like kind of just, for lack of better words, you just trust them. Like you know that they can have your back and like they'll be able to do A, like A, B, C for you. Like they're gonna be there for you.
Yeah. You know, they turned their head this way and winked at you, therefore they're going to be over there on the field, right? That's trust, right? That's the good stuff, right? Anybody ever know what do you think the number one reason is that like in World War I, World War II, that if you were to like ask people in the trenches on the front lines, they say, why do you fight? What do you think some of the common answers were? Right? Guy next to him, right? You'd think it'd be like my family, the country. No, it was the guy next to him because they went through training with them. They took bullets with them, right? They were in firefights together. They went through hard stuff together, right? That creates trust. That creates that bond, that brotherhood, right? What about the process of trust? Like trusting a process, right? You've been given a process, right? How do you trust that process? Doing it over and over again, right? Just repeating over and over. Staying the course. Yeah. Seeing the success from it. Okay. The other piece of that is trusting the leader, right? Because, like, I'm guessing y'all don't play for like the respect of South Lyon. I mean, it's like it's on the list, but like it's pretty down there, right? You're playing for these guys. You're playing for coach. You're playing for all your coaches. You're playing for your family, right? People, you trust in the leader, right? Trust in the leader. That's the biggest part of the process. Number 3, commitment. Okay, the commitment. How do you give commitment? How do you commit to something? Like I heard Coach say earlier, like you guys are making a commitment tonight. How do you commit to something? Show up, right? Show up, attitude, effort, show up, right? You'd think that that's pretty common, wouldn't you? That is not common in the real world, let me tell you. You can beat 90% of people by showing up and giving a good attitude and giving a good effort, right? Absolutely. How do you earn commitment? How do you earn it? A little bit extra. A little bit extra. Everyone's doing their thing, right? This is the standard, but the standard for what? Standard to be undefeated? Standard to win? Standard for a championship? Right? What about the just a little bit? Like there's ordinary and then there's extraordinary, extraordinary. Right? I can tell you right now, the 1% of the 1%. Right? So approximately 1% of high school athletes I think it's actually like less than 1% for football specifically, play at the next level. Of that 1% in college, 0.5% make it to the league, make it to the NFL. Right? And I can tell you this, having sat at that table and had a cup of coffee with the New Orleans Saints and had a tryout with the New York Jets and have a literal handwritten letter from the head coach of the Oakland Raiders at the time, right? That stuff, that is incredibly rare and incredibly difficult to do, right? It goes from a game to business real quick. And if you didn't put in the extra, you have no chance, you will have no seat at that table. Even if you have the size, the weight, the speed, the agility, all of the stats won't get you to that table. Everybody's got all those. All right, you walk into a college locker room, into a pro locker room, they're all state, man. You're like, no, you walk in like, I was all state, third team, whatever. And they were all dream team. All right? So where can you put in just a little bit more to make you stand out as a team, as an individual, as a program? Right? Last one, pride. Pride. How do you give pride? Have you ever heard the term swag? Swag. To me, I like that. I like the word swag almost as good or better than pride. Do we know how to define swag? So I had this guy one time, he did a talk for us. But I mean, like I was sitting in your seat and he did a talk for us. This guy was a 2-star general. He was missing a leg and he was missing an arm. Right? And he was, I mean, obviously he was in the firefight. And he said, you know what swag is? He said, swag is excellence without arrogance. Excellence without arrogance. Right? That's a whole nother level right there. That's like you walk in a room, there's respect immediately. Like there's a level of pride that he just carried with himself. He could have been wearing street clothes. That dude walked in, you're just like, that is a proud individual. Right? Yet the most humble man I've ever met in my life. And like this dude, I mean, you walk into a grocery store and have 25 people shake his hand and say thank you because of what he did. Like there's a swag to it. There's a presence to it when you walk around. Like you're a football player at the varsity level. Like there's an amount of pride that comes with that. You carry yourself a little bit different. And not because you got a puff chest syndrome that I can poke in half a second, right? Like a whole bunch of kids your age, but because you've earned it, because you're proud of reaching that and you want to remain proud. Right? And also, you're a little bit scared that you're going to lose that pride, so you better be working like hell to keep it. Right? That's pride. That's the process. Just one little quick story that really kind of hit me as I was thinking about pride. Let's see. I think it was about 4 years ago now. I got a phone call. So when I was in high school, and like I don't like talking about myself, but when I was in high school, I played 4 sports. I was first team All-State in all 4 sports: basketball, football, baseball, powerlifting. I was a straight A student. Right? I had an all-American family. My mom and my dad were together till death did them part. I had a little brother, a little sister. My little brother was even a better athlete than I was. Well, I got a call probably about, and I guess it was about 8 years ago now, because it was about a year before my dad had passed. And it was my old high school baseball coach, who at the time was also my boss. Right, as in he was principal when I was teaching there. And he said, hey, what do you think about being in the Hall of Fame? I was like, say what? He's like, yeah, we're going to induct you into the Linden Athletic Hall of Fame. Right? There's only like 153 people in the Linden Athletic Hall of Fame. And they wanted to announce me in there. And I tell you what, that was a payoff. Like I don't even, if I'm dead honest with you, I couldn't even tell you where the plaque is. It's probably in my basement, to be honest with you. But the level of pride that came, like that was 15 years after I was done playing. And for that to come back to me and to have that come back as a piece of pride, something to be proud of, right? Like those are things that you never forget, right? Stuff like that, right? And it wasn't because everything that I won or how amazing I was. It's because two things. It's because consistency and reliability. They knew what they were going to get out of me, and they knew they were going to get it every single day, no matter what. And man, I tell you what, that right there is probably one of the things that I am most proud of outside of raising two amazing daughters. That's probably one of the things I'm most proud of in my life, which is crazy. Like it's not like the championship or the trophy or the all-state or the scholarship. Like that was a compilation because you needed more than just athletic ability to get into that thing, right? All right, last thing. What's your mantra? What do you guys call it? Hunt out. What do you call it? Like, is it a rallying cry, a mantra? Like, what are your the mantra? Okay, go with mantra. All right. So, what's your mantra? Let's say that like we got a pair.
Every day.
That's it. One more.
Every day.
What does that mean? Let's talk about that. Let's go 1 minute at your table. What does that mean? One sentence definition. Is there like a set definition to this?
I mean, there's been like we've talked about it before.
Okay.
Where it's like
Not really.
I feel like not really, but I feel like everybody's gonna have a similar answer.
Okay. That's what I'm very curious about. All right, bring it up. Let's go back here. Hunt every day. What's it mean? All right, 1% better. I like it. Go. Oh, can't go with that. That's a crap answer. Same thing. Ditto. Same thing. That means I don't know the answer usually. Yes. Consistency. I like that. Every day. Hunt every day. What do you got? Keep going. Keep going. I like it. What do you got?
Find a way.
Find a way. Ooh, I like that one.
Like not doing the bare minimum. Like anyone can just show up to weights, I guess, and just kind of half-ass all your things. But it's like going out of your way.
Love it. All right. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Potential, right? Potential. Does anybody hunt animals here? Does anybody hunt animals? Like two people? Coach back there like me, right? I can tell you something. I kill things. I kill things, and I very much enjoy it. Right? Let's talk about hunt every day. Right? So the most difficult animal to kill, okay, in North America. What do you think, Coach? One of the most difficult animals to kill in North America. No, that's easy. Just throw some fish. Throw some fish out. A white-tailed deer. Okay, a trophy buck white-tailed deer is top 3. It always varies. One of the most difficult animals to kill. Okay, not like a doe that you run into on the road. Not that. Like I'm talking like a 5-year-old buck that is like this, like a freaking ghost. All right, let's talk about what do you need in order to kill this. Right? Do you need discipline? Yeah, a sucker's smart. Let me tell you, dude's freaking real smart. Right? Do you need focus? Focus comes in right when you go to pull that trigger, right? Better be focused. Do you need luck? I mean, you don't want to rely on it, but a little bit wouldn't be bad, right? Like if the ball's a little bit sticky and it just sticks to your hand, like you're not going to be like, no, that was too easy, right? You're going to be like, oh, thank God, right? Absolutely. Yeah, been there, done that, right? So just like a whitetail buck is really difficult to kill. All right, if you haven't tried, love it, by the way. Awesome times with family, with brothers, with dad. anything like that. What I want you to think about, all right, as we round this out, okay? As though you hear that every single day, hunt every day, okay? Here's what I want to leave you with. Here's what I want you to hunt for, okay? I want you to hunt for the man that you want to become. I want you to hunt for the man you want to become. Because you're going to have to search for that. You're going to have to work for that. You're going to have to do some uncomfortable stuff for that. You're going to have discipline, all these things that we've talked about. You're going to have all of that. Maybe not all at the same time. Maybe you'll need persistence today. Maybe a little bit of luck tomorrow. Maybe you'll have to be focused on Thursday. Right? But all of those pieces are going to turn you into the man that you want to become. Maybe you've got great role models. Maybe you've got absolute crap role models. Either way, doesn't matter. When you go out there to hunt, when you hunt every day, right? Whether it is you got to execute a play, you got to run a sprint, you got to get an A in a class, right? Doesn't matter. Who do you want to become? Well, this is what I tell clients this all the time, right? Usually it's big ego males that are own and found and run a business, right? And here's what I tell them. Hey, when you go home at night, what do you want to tell your wife and kids? Or the stuff that they talk to me about or that they're ashamed about? I say, hey, when you go home at night, and you said, hey, go home and tell your kids how shitty of a leader you are. Right? How about that? One time I walked in, and there was a whiteboard. I wrote one word down. Right? I'm a football coach, so that's exactly how I coach business. Right? I wrote down the word blood. And they looked at me like, what the hell does blood mean? I was like, blood is your family. And they don't like you because of the man that you have become because of this. Right? You have amazing opportunity right now because you're in those years, you're in that moment of your life when you are making decisions every single day that are going to decide the man that you will be. And I will tell you this, football is one of the greatest practices you can to learn that process, to learn how to be tough, to learn how to work hard, to learn how to be consistent and reliable at all four of your pillars, right? What do you want to hunt? You want to hunt for the man that you want to become, right? Because you're not there yet, but you need to wake up and be on the lookout for that every day. What do I want to learn today? Right? What do I want to become today? How will people talk about me? Right? How is the other team going to talk about me? How's the neighborhood going to talk about me? Right? That's what you want to hunt for. And I can tell you this right now, you hunt for that every single day, there will be a whole lot of achievements, accolades, team, individual, all the above. You will win if you hunt to be the man that you want to become. All right, here's what I want to do. I love Q&A. So I would like to just open this to be like, any question that you have about anything we talked about, college football, the 4.5 minutes of kind of fame I had in the NFL, like anything like that, I would love to hear your questions. Yeah. Yes, you asked the question. All right, so when I was a senior in high school, going into my last year, I was 220, right? Ran a 4.9. Right, that was the last day I ever even thought about a 4.9, to be honest with you. No joke, right? If the line was right here, this is a true story, right? Line was right here, Michigan State University. Like I was like right there for being like selected. There was no coaches at the starting line, right? There was a coach way down there. The line was right here. I walked up and went like this and went boom and took off. Cheated a whole yard just to get that 4.98. Below 5.0, right? So I was 220 in high school. And I told you when I went on to Eastern Michigan University, they switched coaches, and I couldn't do anything about it. Like the transfer rules didn't apply. So my coach, Coach Henson knows who he is. His name is Chris Symington. He'd been divorced 6 times, has 7 kids. Was a raging alcoholic and addicted to like 4 different things. However, the man was an incredibly good offensive line coach, right? He taught me how to eat. And throughout 4 years, I gained 127 pounds, right? And you want to know my secret? It's not the way to do it. Star Crunch sandwiches with crunchy peanut butter in the middle. And chocolate milk. That was my secret, you know. And I would also use, you like Slim Fast, Slim Fast shakes. I would drink those as dessert after my meals. Like they're meant to be a whole meal. They would be my dessert after a meal. Yeah. And I just every week I had to gain 1 pound every single week. Otherwise, I had Dawn Patrol, and Dawn Patrol was you had to eat a half loaf of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and a half gallon of chocolate milk every day at 6 a.m. Actually, it might have been 5. 5 sounds cooler. Let's go with 5. Right? Yeah, that was Dawn Patrol. And I did. I played my senior year at Saginaw Valley going into it at 337. Let me tell you, you want to know how to push around somebody who weighs 319 pounds? Be bigger than 319 because you're both really strong, right? I was very proud about being big. The problem now is that I'm not paid to be big, so I got to run and stuff to keep that down because you could guess I didn't learn the best eating habits to gain that much weight that fast. But yeah, good question. That's a fun one. Well, you got. What's my business exactly? So when I left teaching, I actually started a business called Athlete Mental Game Coaching. Right? And I worked with the mental game of sports, of athletes, right? Because, I loved the physical side of sports, but I really thought that the mental side was always just a little more interesting to me. It was the harder part of it. So I started that business, ran that business for about 3 years, and then actually sold that business to my first client, who is now a professional soccer player. So, and then once that ended, I started working in businesses. And like I was telling coaches before this, the way when I approach a business, so I work with small service businesses doing like less than $5 million annual revenue. So not huge teams, right? I treat the operations just like a football program, right? So it's like, who's the head coach? Who's the OC? Who's the DC? Where's our playbook? What kind of training do we do? Like, where's the depth chart? It's literally identical. So I literally speak football language all day in business. And I love it. And it works great. Right when I onboard somebody, I always say like, hey, if you don't know sports, this isn't going to work. Right? But if you do, you're going to like the way I do things. Yeah. Good question. What else? Yeah. How did they go? They actually went really good. When the game turns to business, like I had a lot of agents knocking on my door saying like, come to Florida for 2 months. I'll pay for everything. Right. And then, hey, when you sign, then you got to pay it back. Right. So actually I had some really good tryouts, some really good conversations. The conversations were actually really short because the first things that they ask you are like, hey, have you gotten in trouble? And I'm like, no. They're like, no, really, like, we're going to find out. And I'm like, no, I haven't got in trouble. Right? They're like, anything with the law? You got any kids? Like, what's are you married? Have you got anybody pregnant? Like, no, good, all good there. And then usually the conversation was pretty short. Well, what had happened was, and this was at the Valero Cactus Bowl down in Texas. It's a Division II All-Star game. Like Friday night before the game on Saturday, they put us in our girdles, like spandex, basically underwear. That's it. And there's like 50 NFL scouts, like sitting just like you guys are, right? And they like bring you up in a line, and they'll be like, Desi Maynor, 6'3", 337 pounds, bench 615, or no, that was my squat. 615 squat, 505 bench, and it was like I think I ran like a 5'2". Right? Like that was 5'2" was fast. That's fast for 337 pounds, by the way. And then you're just a piece of meat. So what had actually happened was it boiled down to I was a little bit, my feet were a little slow to be a center, and I wasn't big enough to be a guard. So I was actually a little too big to be a center. If you look at most NFL centers, like look at Jason Kelsey, right? He's like 290. So I'd actually gained too much weight and was a little bit flabby, which kind of slowed my feet down a little bit. And that, it just comes down to I wasn't good enough, which is like brutal, right? But like I made it all the way to that. Like I got a piece of paper from the Oakland Raiders, which is pretty fun. All right, so yeah, I was literally told, and they were like, "Oh, go to Europe for a couple of years, and then maybe." You're like, there's a lot of maybes going on here for me to like uproot my entire life. All right. So that's kind of how that went. But it was an awesome ending, I'll tell you that. Yeah. Other questions? Come on, yeah.
How can you balance that like pride and swag after being
So like after you've went through something hard and came out on top.
no, I'm saying like had a bad year of football
Mm-hmm.
and like the team's morale, like you just come off a loss from a blowout loss and your
Yeah.
team morale's down. Like how do you still feel that pride and swag when you're
I think it comes down to how you carry yourself. I think it's more than that one moment. Right? Like we're all gonna be pissed and sad for a minute, right? Well, I think it's more of it's not that one moment that's gonna define that. It's gonna be a lot of moments way before that. Right? So it's like, I mean, I've lost a whole bunch of times in my life. But when you walk out, it's because you like the difference is believing in yourself. Right? Like this was a moment, this was a game, this was a practice, right? Not who I am. Right? And I trust me, like I had to go through like when you get told like, hey, you're not good enough anymore to play football. Like that was hard to hear. Right? Like football was who I was. Right? And I think part of it comes in your identity in that. Like, who are you outside of football? Because I can tell you, if that's all you are is football, then you'll feel worse, right? Because you don't believe in who you are in general, right? And that's the big bad football player saying that, who will want to win more than anyone, right? So that's how I would say that. Like it's all of the things before. It boils down to confidence, and confidence is literally just the belief in yourself and your skills, right? So it's like this might have been a bad moment or game, but that's not who I am, right? And also, I mean, use that as fuel, right? Like you lose a game, you have a bad day, whatever, that is just fuel to the fire. That's like, man, you thought you hated me today. Wait till tomorrow, right? Wait till tomorrow. Like you learn to like, let me put that in a bottle over here. And before the next game, I'm going to open that up and, oh, yeah, right? Yeah, that's how I would approach that. Yeah. Best player I probably ever played against. Name is Jason Jones. He was at Eastern Michigan. He was a D tackle. Played against him every single day. We called him Spider Man. You know why? How many people do you see put their hands on Spider Man? Think about that. Not very many, right? You ever see people go like this to Spider Man? No. That's why we call him Spider Man, because you couldn't freaking block him. He ended up playing for the Tennessee Titans, I think, for almost 10 years, actually. Yeah, he was very, very, very good. And I played with like TJ Lang. He played for a minute. We were roommates at Eastern Michigan. He was a freak of nature. He played D line actually half of his college career. Then came over and played with us on offense his last 2 years. That's probably one. I played with him. Played against another guy named Daniel Holtzclaw. Um, he played in the league for a couple 3 years. I think a handful of people that I played against or with that were in the league. Yeah. Those are the two that I remember the most, I would say, though. Eric Delorier, he was like a seventh year. He was one of those JUCOs from Canada also. He was like 25, still playing in college. He was a chain smoker because he's French Canadian. That's what they do, or did way back then. And the dude was an amazing wide receiver. And he ended up having a really good career in the CFL. Yeah. I had one back here. Yeah. That was not easy. I can tell you that. I was not the most popular guy. Although I did place in the top 5 of Mr. Linden for 3 years straight. It was like a talent contest back in the day. Yeah. I sang, she thinks your tractor's sexy. Here, I tell you, here's how I was very, very, very focused. And I was very good at time management. Like I hated homework. So I would take every second that I had during the day to not have homework. Because I didn't have time for it. most days, I mean, I can think of many days when I would do all 3 sports in one day. Like I'd be like, all right, cool basketball practice. I'm going to go take some swings in the batting cage. All right. And then I got to lift tonight with the football team because it's January. Oh, and then I got a powerlifting meet tomorrow morning on Saturday that I go to. I was just very focused. Like I knew where I wanted to go, and it was the next level. Like I wanted to be a Division I football player. There was like it was that or bust. Right. And then I mean grades just came pretty easy to me. I mean, I will tell you, it is much more difficult now. Like, you guys have a much more difficult road. Grades were not as hard as they are now, for sure. But I was very intentional with my time. I didn't waste a lot of time. I never played video games. Like if I hung out with friends, it was like what you guys are about to go do. That was how I hung out, basically. And I just loved it, man. I just loved the process. I loved competing. I mean, transparently, there's just nothing I loved more than being better than another human. That was really enjoyable to me. If I'm just being honest with you, right? Like when I knock you down, I'm probably gonna trip over you 4 times. Oh, sorry, sorry, as I get up. But good, it's hard, very very hard. Way less common now to be a 4-sport athlete. Like I think I had 13 varsity letters. That's way more difficult to do now, right? And get A's. Like I graduated with a 3.86, I think. Good question though, man. Like you just got to know where you want to go. What's your end result? And you got to not do anything that doesn't align with that end result. I had excellent support, by the way. Like my mother, absolute saint and an amazing cook. I had 4 lunches every day. Good question. Couple more questions? Anything? Anything else? Yeah, coach. Yeah. 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 Yeah, I think the way that I define mental toughness is by grit. And actually, there's an amazing book on this because I'm all about like, how do I operationalize mental toughness? Like, how do I, like, if you were to say, like, what's the 3-step process to become mentally tough, right? So I look at it as like mental toughness is grit, essentially, right? What is grit? 2 things, right? Passion. Like, do I just absolutely freaking love this thing? Do I love all aspects? I want to enjoy getting better? Do I like the game, the trade, the work, all of it, right? Am I am I passionate about my team, my brothers, like all the not sexy stuff that no one sees, like studying a playbook or like taking 5 pages of notes on 12 zone, even though you've already ran it 1,000 times, right? Like, are you just really passionate? Are you a student of the game, right? Not just like, I got a jersey, the ladies are gonna like it, right? Like that's not passion, right? That's not passion at all. So passion about the thing, whatever the thing is. This obviously, football, becoming a man, life, right? You got to be passionate about that. I don't want to just win here. I want to win in the next set of things. I want to win in the next thing I do in life. Are you passionate about that, right? And then the next thing is perseverance. Okay. So passion and perseverance equals grit. Perseverance is what we're talking about, that you're trusting your plan, right? Like I had a plan, like I was telling you, and it was like, I'm going to be hell set on this plan. And if I didn't achieve it, I was probably going to be very broken, right? But I knew that I was going to have to do all of these little things that really no one knew about in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve, right? So one, you got to know what you want to achieve in order to realize and recognize that all of these things that you'll have to persevere through are worth it. Because like there will be lots of people out there that you look at the end result and you'll be like, I don't know if it's worth all of these things. Like I had to ask myself, is starting a business and being able to do this to you young men tonight, is that worth selling my house, putting my family in financial jeopardy basically to get to do that? And to me it was like, yes. Because you know why? Because I watched my dad basically die early because he worked 37 years 6 days a week for 12 hours a day in a shop that he hated. And I'm like, so to me that's worth it to not do that, right? And to carry out his legacy of leadership. So that's like the combination of passion and perseverance right there. Like, do you care enough to do the hard stuff? Because if you don't, like, it will be tested. There was many times when I wanted to cash her in Eastern Michigan and be like, we can figure it out. I get some student aid, we'll be good. Do I really got to play football? Like, it's hard. Right? And my dad used to sit down. I would sit down with me at this crappy little Chinese restaurant that was like right around the corner from our dorm. And he'd be like, no, let's go. You can work in the shop with me. Right? It'd be fine. You just walk around. You're going to have to tell everybody that you quit. Why you quit? Why'd you quit? Why'd you quit? All right? And I'm like, because it was hard. I don't know how many players that I've had and clients that I've had that were like, yeah, I hurt my knee. Me and the coach didn't get along, right? All these things that why they quit, college athletes, basically, why they quit, right? I can tell you right now, sticking that out is probably one of the greatest things that I ever was blessed to make that decision that probably didn't even know I was making. I was probably just too embarrassed to walk around saying I quit, right? So I think that's that combination of, are you really freaking passionate about the thing that you're doing or who you want to become? Like, think about it, right? And then, is it worth it to do the things that no one else is going to want to do? Like, that's mental toughness. When you drop a pass in the end zone, right? And you're like, well, I'm down, I suck, I'm horrible. Instead of walking in and saying, hey, that was my fault, give me the ball again. Right? Like, you got to be really passionate about being really good, that you just had that crappy thing happen to you and you're like, give me another opportunity, I won't screw it up. That's hard. Right? So it's a combination of passion and perseverance, and you got to think through that. Right? And it's great because like you guys have time to think through that. You have great opportunities every single day. Right? That's what I would say. To me, that's how I deal with mental toughness. Right? Like, just don't freaking quit. Just not quitting at whatever it is that you're doing will teach you so much about life. You will never regret not quitting. I can tell you that right now. Coming from the guy who wanted to quit when he was in 3rd grade. Because I was playing with 6th graders, because I was big, in football. My first year, and I said, Dad, I want to quit. And he said, yep, no problem. You can quit. You're going to take all your pads. I was in 3rd grade, by the way. He said, you're going to take all your pads. We're going to walk to practice tomorrow. You can go hand them in to your coach and explain to your coaches and all your team why you're quitting. It's like in 3rd grade. I was like, I'm not doing that. I guess I'll go to practice, right? And then never looked back since. I can tell you right now, that is the greatest decision that I never made was not quitting. Yeah, good stuff. Good question. You are 100% going to fail. Listen to this. You guys will love this. Greatest failure. Okay? National television, 110,000 people, the big house. Okay? You can imagine. Like, you watch it on TV on Saturday, okay? I'm the center. Right? 2 instances in this same game. Right? I'm the center. It's shotgun. Right? First drive of the game. Airmailed it over the quarterback's head. National television. And 110,000 people live. Airmail, like literally, he was like, "Oh!" For some reason, they kept me in the game. I was an absolute head case, just like straight wrist, straight wrist, straight wrist, straight wrist, straight wrist. Was going crazy to make sure I got the next pass. The next drive, have you ever heard of Brandon Graham? I bet you that's one of the best ones. Brandon Graham, Michigan, right? I think he was right here. And I like had to I was like pass pro this way. And somehow he had got my shoulder. So like I was like this and I couldn't recover because he's freaking fast and strong. Got around me. By the time I turn around, my quarterback laying on the ground screaming, holding his shoulder. Literally had to go under the knife, surgery, out for the year because of me. Ask me what happened the next year. 92% graded out, offensive player of the week, baby. Same place, same team. Right? How? They actually spent like 10 grand hiring this special center coach to teach me how to snap, which was, I mean, really cool. Right? And then I learned this. That was like super secret ninja hack, man. You could knock a dude's nose off and snap the ball at the same time. That was pretty cool. Like you're going to screw up. You're going to fail. Right? The question is, what are you going to do after? Like that's in life, in sports, football, grades, what, dude, everything, relationships, you're going to screw up a whole bunch of times. You will be defined as how you respond to that. Right? Now you react. React is like, I'm angry, I'm going to punch a Gatorade or whatever. Respond. Think about it. Learn from it. How are you going to respond? That will define who you actually are. But yeah, I've had some bad ones, man. Some real bad ones that are documented well. Boys, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you guys. Thank you so much. Coach, they're all yours.